I'm happiest in the saddle.
A fellow sportsman.
I am an FBI agent!
Great Scott!
What do you say we cut the chit-chat? A-hole!
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria!
Come with me if you want to live.
Hello, and welcome to Retro Ramble. I'm Charlie McGhee.
I'm George McGhee.
And this time, we're not just giving you one Retro Ramble, we're reviewing two films. Ain't that right, partner?
Two for the price of one.
Bad Boys, what you gonna do? It's Bad Boys 1 and
2. So you could kind of think it as a buy one, get one free January sale type vibe.
Why are we doing this now, George?
Because the long-awaited Bad Boys for Life, Bad Boys 3, is upon us.
Yeah, so we are jumping on the bandwagon, and we love this. We love these films. We had so much fun with them when we were teenagers. They are a lot of fun, and so we would jump on any excuse to go back for some more mayhem.
And technically, as this is now 2020, Bad Boys 1 will be 25 years old.
So yeah, well,
quarter of a century.
Why didn't we just say that was the reason we were doing it as well?
No, it's more about Bad Boys for Life, yo.
Okay, yo. So we're going to be going to all the usual places. As it's two films, we probably are going to keep the production chat focused on the first film, like what brought us this franchise. As I guess the production of the second film was, let's do another one.
Let's make some more money.
Soulless cash grab. So we're going to be going through what we remember, our highlights, how we think they both stand up today, because there was an 8-year gap between the two, wasn't there?
Long gap for usual Hollywood shenanigans.
So we'll try and fill in, how we felt when the second film came out, and there'll be the usual Coulda Woulda Shoulda, suspicious spin-offs. You know what to expect, but if you don't, here's George with a quick word on housekeeping.
So we are film lovers, we are not film professionals, however we do strive for authenticity, and we're trying to provide facts where possible. So we aim to entertain, but to give you a bit of a background on how these films came to be. We're going to be going into these films in detail, so there will be spoilers from the very off. There also may be some casual swearing and definitely some bad impressions.
I think the sort of disclaimer you need to put about this film is that we love Bad Boys. The first film meant a lot to me, and we rushed to see the second when it came out.
Well, I mean, we've talked about Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson films before. They're a key part of, they've produced some great action blockbusters of the 80s and 90s.
But they are silly.
But they are silly.
They are ridiculously silly.
But very enjoyable. So, I mean, it does, it fits into the Retro Ramble canon, being a Simpson Bruckheimer production. But it's our second Michael Bay film, or films, that we're covering, because we did The Rock a few years ago, didn't we?
Yeah, Michael Bay didn't do Con Air, but Bruckheimer and Simpson did, right?
Yes.
Or
yes.
just maybe
so,
Bruckheimer by that stage. So it's another Bruckheimer.
Yeah.
But, I think it's just worth pointing out that we're going to try and make this entertaining. We've picked all the bits that we think are hilarious today, and a lot of them, we found them funny when we saw it the first time, but these criticisms come from a place of love. It's all I'd like to say, just in case anybody's you guys were too cruel to Bad Boys.
Yeah, as a disclaimer, we're going back into these films in detail, and there is going to be some criticism, but as Charlie says, it comes from an affectionate, good place.
And we hope it's fair, and we hope you agree, and if you don't...
Everything can't be a lovin'.
Yeah, exactly. So, we are jumping through time. We're starting in 1995, we're going to 2003, so we're obviously recording this on mini disc.
It's a great format. I can't say it enough times.
I can't see it ever being superseded by anything. Mm-hmm. So there were so many other films out this year. It was a crazy year for films. We've got the first Toy Story film. There's Braveheart. There's Apollo 13. There was Seven.
GoldenEye.
Batman Forever. Die Hard with a Vengeance, highest grossing film.
Ace Ventura 2, I think. So Jim Carrey was kind of explaining the scene. Sandra Bullock she was kind of a big deal, and then there's While You Were Sleeping.
Congo.
We need to cover Congo at some point. It's ridiculous.
Oh yes.
We had 12 Monkeys, so more Bruce.
But just I think
Waterworld.
Oh my god, we could go on, but the fact is, I remember actually watching this on video, and I think the reason I watched this on video was not because I didn't like this sort of film. I think it was because there were so many other things you were going to see at the cinema that it was natural that you missed this. You couldn't see everything else that was out when Bad Boys was out.
I definitely saw it on video because of my age. I was 12 at the time, and try as I might, I didn't get into 15 to around then, or it was very difficult to. So yes, I definitely watched this on video as well, most likely from Blockbuster.
So it's time to jump in our time machine, cover these two films in its best way possible, and so here it is, Bad Boys 1 and 2. Enjoy the show.
Enjoy.
Detectives Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett.
Don't be alarmed, we're Negroes.
Oh man, no, that's too much bass in your voice. That scared white folk. You gotta sound like them.
We were wondering if we can borrow a cup of brown sugar.
On the Miami Police Force.
I'll be back. You something wrong with you.
They don't follow the rules.
You ain't with the bad guys now. You with the cops.
They make them.
Sir.
Just get the dope back and do it quietly.
Boys, bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boy. You know, you drive almost slow enough to drive Miss Daisy.
So, George, how do we get this wonderful franchise? How do we get more Michael Bay? Because was this his first big hit?
Yeah, so there is going to be a little bit of repetition because obviously we talked about Michael Bay's beginnings on our The Rock episode. So The Rock is his second film, but this is his first feature film. So as I say, on that episode I did go into his background, but Michael Bay's background was, like Tony Scott, was in commercials and music videos. And I think Tony Scott is a bit of a, well, not a mentor, but he's definitely been influenced by Tony Scott's style. It's very flashy, it's very quick cut, and Michael Bay definitely has cultivated his own style. But back then, yeah, I say he was known for commercials and music videos. Most famous music video was Meatloaf, I'll Do Anything for Love, but I won't do that.
But I won't do that in brackets.
So, but the origins of this film go back a bit further than Michael Bay's. He sort of came into it quite late in the day. So, as we've touched on in the intro, it's a Don Simpson, Jerry Bruckheimer production. So,
explosions,
big, Hollywood production. These are the guys that did, that made Tom Cruise a star with Top Gun, Days of Thunder, Beverly Hills Cop, and they've obviously gone on to do other, later films that we talked about. I think Crimson Tide came out the same year, 95, Con Air, Armageddon.
Imagine if they all came out in the same year.
Yeah, and Jerry Bruckheimer's still producing. Don Simpson sadly passed away in 95, I think, 96 maybe. Yeah. So Don Simpson actually bought the script, then known as the less catchy Bulletproof Hearts, in 1986.
Wow.
So he bought this off a then fledgling screenwriter called George Gallo, who wrote cult sort of 80s action film Midnight Run, which is a great film. But so I think this was before Midnight Run had become a hit. And his script, the original script, was still focused on that mistaken identity. And it was two New York detectives. One was a womanizer, one a family man, who have to trade places to bust a major heroin ring. So pretty much the same sort of basic story of Bad Boys. It was pitched as a 48 hours type comedy, laugh, gunshot, explained George Gallo. But this is the interesting part. It was originally set to star Dana Carvey, a.k.a. Garth from Wayne's World.
Give me the flashlight, Russell.
Give me the flashlight, Russell. And John Lovitz.
Who he? I recognise the name, but
John Lovitz is he's from Saturday Night Live, dumpy Jewish guy. He's in a few Adam Sandler films.
I'm starting to get a better idea, yeah.
He talked a bit like this, John Lovitz.
Yeah.
He's in, do you remember Wedding Singer when he's the rival wedding singer, and he's a really sleazy guy.
And I need you now tonight.
Yeah,
need you now.
No, he's doing the single ladies. But yeah, you'll know who he is. Right. So yeah, that was it. They were attached to it for quite some time, and apparently Dana Carvey was attached to play the womanizing character that would eventually be Mike Lowry. Yeah. And John Lovitz was going to be the Jewish nebbish family man character. And apparently this was around the time, this was sort of 92, 93. So obviously Dana Carvey was big off the back of Wayne's World and was in a sort of bit of a power play, and a little bit he kept saying the script wasn't good enough and kept sending it back. He wasn't particularly happy with the womanizing role, and it eventually sort of fell apart, and it was kind of sort of put on ice because
made Wayne's World 2.
Yeah, exactly. And well, to be fair, Dana Carvey's movie career never really took off outside of the Wayne's World films, whereas Mike Myers did. But that's a different retro ramble, I'm sure. That was its initial iteration, and apparently, well, according to the internet, that Don Simpson arranged a trip for the actors and him to go to Las Vegas to celebrate their up-and-coming project, and Dana Carvey was so horrified by Don Simpson's behaviour on this weekend that he pulled from the project. But that's, I say, that's what I've discovered off the internet.
So take that how you will, listeners.
So yeah, Michael Bay was actually attached to the script. I found an LA Times article that talked about all the script issues with Dana Carvey and John Lovitz, and Michael Bay's name came up. Amusingly, his name's spelt wrong. It's spelled B-E-Y instead of B-A-Y. Mm-hmm. So that's how much of a sort of a nobody he was back then. So yeah, this is his directorial feature film debut, and he was 28 at the time, and paid a measly $100,000 for his services. But he said that the studio had their concerns, but both Jerry and Don completely believed in him. So he said he had the producers on their side, but the studio was a little bit hesitant to put this trust in the young new director. The thing that surprises me, looking at the production, is the budget. The budget was, I think Michael Bay says on the commentary that it was 9, but looking elsewhere, it's closer to 19. But that's still, if we're talking about the average blockbuster is costing around 200 million these days. I know that's inflation, but still 20 million is quite small change for a Hollywood blockbuster, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think that goes to show that, to Michael Bay's credit, every penny spent is shown on screen. And he even says that from his sort of music video commercial background, he knew how to cut corners, and a lot of the edits in the film, the quick edits, are to hide like cheap looking sets and things like that. So it's a bit like and again, I think it's probably someone that he looks up to and was inspired by, but it's a bit like the James Cameron Terminator thing. It's almost like they are very good at making something look brilliant with not a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, there's all these like little tips and tricks. So one of the iconic shots in both the Bad Boys films is things flying over that Miami sign. And that's a replica sign. That sign's only like 3 foot
Love it.
tall. And everyone was like, all the art team, and like, well, why are you making such a big thing of that? And he's like, trust me, this shot is going to look amazing. So I think it's safe to say, yeah,
he knows how to get a good shot. He knows how to get there, and he has this. Something I've seen from his work, and it's in all of his films. It's very much a calling card, and I'm not talking about women in scanty clad outfits. It's the magic hour, shooting at sunset or
sunset or sunrise.
Yeah.
It's permanent sunrise or sunset in his films. Everything looks, and I think that's something that was kind of started with Tony Scott, that whole sort of Top Gun aesthetic, but Michael Bay really ramps it up and really has made it, as you say, his calling card. But yeah, interestingly, he admits on his commentary for Bad Boys 1, he says, despite endless rewrites, it was never a great script. He said he completely acknowledges it's not a great script, it's full of plot holes, which I'm sure we'll pick up on. But he said it was the film was basically elevated by its two charismatic leading actors, and he said he actually encouraged Lawrence and Smith to improvise wherever possible, which they clearly did, and which they would go on to in the second one. But we're sort of running before we can.
We'll get to that.
Again, another sort of money cost saving exercise. The Porsche 911 in the film is Michael Bay's own.
Oh wow!
So yeah, it's interesting that he
didn't get paid any money for Porsche for describing it as the fastest production car on the road.
Probably not. I mean, obviously he'd been doing well enough off his music videos and commercials to afford that lovely Porsche 911. Yeah. So he says in the commentary that he incorporated real life police stories. So that opening heist with the decoy body. No, sorry, I'm talking about the drug heist. Oh, you were talking about the
first opening.
No, but apparently that's based on real life stories of carjackings that they use a hot piece of ice.
She walks past the car and then they get robbed. Yeah,
barely wearing a skirt. More like a belt.
All right, so no, you're talking about the decoy cop.
Yes. So yeah, but they took different elements from real life police stories, and that whole drug heist through the air vents, that's based on a true story as well. I know we're not going to go into detail.
Is that the bit where we start thinking, hang on, is this The Rock?
Yes, exactly. Well, that's what I was thinking. I was getting really confused when I was watching this. I was like, did The Rock come first, or was this Rock? Because they're so similar. It's the same guy on scoring duties, Mark Mancina, who we also talked about for Speed, the very dramatic, bombastic Speed.
Bum, 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 bum. There is a lot of that in this. There's a lot of ba-ba.
I mean, and it's kind of typical of that Bruckheimer blockbuster, but it's so reminiscent of The Rock.
I thought the music was awesome.
Or should I say The Rock is so reminiscent of this, because I think
The Rock came after this.
Yeah. The Rock did a year later. Yeah, there is that in The Rock. You've got that opening heist to get the
all very similar. Rain.
It's rain, blue light, steam. There, quick in and out. I mean, it's Michael Bay says, to make it more exciting, he came up with that whole the trolley system thing where they're like firing up and down the tunnel. It's completely over the top, but it's really exciting.
Look, I've used it in many heists. It works well.
Yeah, but yeah, just to quickly go back to the carjacking scene that the film opens on. Apparently, that was added in as a reshoot because they said they needed to establish the
relationship between the
banter between the two. Yeah,
and what else is coming in the film? There's going to be a lot more of this. But if you don't like back and forth between Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, you should probably leave now.
You'll hate this film. I mean, there's so much slow mo.
I think this film does, like many. I think we might have talked about this in The Rock. Is how long would this film be if everything was? How much time would we lose?
No, I think we talked about that in Mission Impossible 2 with John Woo's style. If it played at normal speed, I think the film would be half an hour long.
Yeah, because in this, just to jump around a little bit, but in the second one, there's a bit where Will Smith goes to console Martin Lawrence in the conference room, and Will Smith moving across the room, he's jogging, and it's in slow-mo. And you're like, why? Oh. Why did that need to be in slow-mo? He's going from one conference room to another conference room. Engage slow-mo.
There is so many moments in the first Bad Boys that does remind you this is the guy that did the Bad Out of I'll Do Anything for Love video. There's lots of blue light coming through shutters, lots of dried ice, and again, it's something that Michael Bay, hats off to him, puts his hands up and says, "Yeah, I realise I overdid it. I was still learning my ways, and sometimes it was just too over stylized." And I think there's even a line that Martin Lawrence says when he's going into Will Smith's luxury pad, and he's like, "Oh, I must have left some incense on because it's so smoky in the room. It's ridiculous."
Yeah, it's because you've got all the lovely light coming in. Yeah, so it's I think. I mean, what strikes me? I mean, I obviously have my first memories of this film. As a teenager, there were so many other films. Cinema was great. It was a great time, late 90s for us in terms of going out of the cinema and enjoying these popcorn-friendly romps, action, and all that. But I remember watching this and just thinking, it's got a cool soundtrack. it looks cool, and it's great action. It's just now when you look back and just say...
And well, let's think about this is Will Smith's first big movie. You know, this is before Independence Day. I remember watching, you know, Fresh Prince and stuff like that. So obviously you come to that like, oh yeah, you know, Will Smith's in a big movie, and it's a Bruckheimer film, because yeah, they were a great label to attach to a film, like, oh, it's going to be, you know, a good action film.
And we've talked about obviously Michael Bay and the music guy, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, but we should give a mention to the other actors. So we've got Joey Pants in Bad Boys 1. I love the way he's introduced. You don't see him, you just hear him screaming down the film.
Yeah, so Joe Pantoliano, who we've talked about before in Matrix and Goonies.
Yeah.
He's a great character actor, and he's brilliant in this.
In The Sopranos.
I haven't seen The Sopranos, but let's move on. But we've talked about in our last episode, Lethal Weapon, about the angry police chief stereotype, and yes, again, he does
a better job than the guy in Lethal Weapon, but time had passed.
Yeah, he's the angry police chief, but he's brilliant at it. He's so good at just like losing the plot and just getting so aggravated by his two detectives, Mike Lowry and Marcus.
Yeah,
I don't know his surname.
Doesn't matter. Not Mike Lowry.
Mike Lowry. And you've got a good villain. We've got Checky Cario, who had a bit of a year because obviously he was in GoldenEye as well, as the Russian minister. But he's a brilliant French actor. He's still going. He's my wife said, "Oh, it's the guy from Baptiste," and I was like, "Is he a bad guy? He's usually a bad guy." She's like, "No, he's actually a good guy." I was like, "Well, I'm surprised." But he's done
very well in Western cinema though. He's jumped the pond.
Well, yeah, he's been in, as you mentioned, he's been in quite a few Luc Besson films. Yeah, I think he started off in Nikita, but I remember being a very hammy bad guy in that Jet Li Kiss of the Dragon, is it?
I'm not sure if I've seen that one.
You and I have watched that together, I think.
Okay, why can't I remember it, George?
It's when stop trying to make Jet Li happen. I mean, in American films, he's a very talented martial artist, but he's not very good in American films.
Yeah, Romeo Must Die.
Romeo Must Die.
I enjoyed that, from the producers of The Matrix.
Yeah, well, but of course. And the lovely T. Leone. I think I had a bit of a crush on T. Leone when I was...
Who didn't? She's lovely.
Yeah, she is lovely.
But I think to tie this back to our last episode, this has a lot to thank Lethal Weapon for, because this was kind of a 90s take on the buddy cop classic, wasn't it?
I have put down in my notes, it's Lethal Weapon meets 48 Hours meets Tango and Cash.
Wow.
Because
it's all of the things from all of those things.
No, but Mike Lowry is the trust fundee. He's, you've got all this money, why are you still a cop?
Yeah, and I was that's from Tango and Cash.
And I was just like, that's Stallone from Tango and Cash. Yeah. But yeah,
Angry Captain from Lethal Weapon, the buddy cop from Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, you've got Martin Lawrence as a family man, and Will Smith as the loner, but he's not a crazy loner. He's not crazy.
Who's crazy? Crazy wasn't being bandied about as much as it was in the late 80s.
So yes, it is wearing all those genre tropes on its sleeve, but obviously, it's
with great success. It works,
and I think it was the first time that you're having, obviously you'd had Beverly Hills Cop as a template as well, but that partnership of two black guys bickering and bantering was a fresh idea.
Yeah, I think that probably brings us to a good time to talk about the bants between Smith and Lawrence, because I don't know how you feel about that. I feel like, I don't know what to say, because of his history, because of Will Smith coming from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and him being the comedy vehicle in that, and in this he's the straight guy. It's strange, you can tell that he's had some influence on it, and he has a lot more to do in the second film, which I think we'll do. It's probably going to be easier. We'll cover that once we've finished talking about what's great about the first one.
Yeah, they definitely they've got a good chemistry, and yeah, as we've said, Michael Bay obviously encouraged them to play it up, and that bickering banter. I think Martin Lawrence is a natural improviser, so I think he more so than probably Will Smith. I'll be honest, I'll hold my hands up and say I'm not the biggest Martin Lawrence fan. I think it's safe to say we're both not massive fans of his.
I'm not massive, considering he's made quite a few films, quite a few straight to video films. He's had an illustrious career, you might say, if you're a big fan, but
it's a bit, he has a very sort of narrow style of comedy, doesn't he?
I think that's it. But the fact is, in both films there's moments where I'm laughing at him, and I can't. That's the thing. I find him 50-50. I feel like 50% of his stuff works, and 50% of it just doesn't.
Great.
Yeah, it's great. So, and that's why you have this weird feeling. It's like, couldn't have worked better with someone else. It's like, no, he's the bad boy. They've got the relationship. They're the brothers. You know, they're two brothers.
I mean, I think outside of these two films and the other film you and I were chatting about, that film he did with Eddie Murphy, Life.
Yeah.
I could leave all his other films.
The one he did with Tim Robbins is good. Is that Blue Streak?
No, that's Nothing to Lose. Blue Streak's, I think Luke Wilson's in there.
No, but the one he did with Tim Robbins I thought was okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Pretty forgettable.
I can't remember what happened.
Exactly.
So yeah, the back and forth between them two is good. The way that they get out of tough situations, they start fighting, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of that in Bad Boys for Life. Maybe they'll do something different.
Yeah, I mean, there's... I say there's lots of bickering and bantering and you know, sometimes it works, and a lot of the comedy does come out of that, you know, role reversal, random women appearing at, you know, I love the bit where, again, it's clearly improv, and I think, you know, Michael Bay talks about how he pushed T. Leone to keep asking questions about, you know, why suggest that is he gay because of all the pictures of Will Smith.
Yeah, that's a nice bit of comedy.
It's a great bit of comedy, but then you sort of like, if you lived alone, would you just have pictures of yourself everywhere?
I think that's what stands out today going back, because when you watch it the first time, you're like, this is a funny joke, but that is a lot of photos of yourself.
Just by yourself.
Yeah, if you're alone, it's like, look, it's me. And over here, yeah, that's me as well.
That's me as well. I mean... Yeah, it's funny, we've talked about there's only a year between this and The Rock, but this to me feels a lot more dated, a lot more a product of the 90s than The Rock does.
In what way, George?
Mainly the wardrobe choices.
Oh, wardrobe.
Will Smith looks like he's just walked off a Colour Me Bad video.
And how many waistcoats does Martin Lawrence own?
Martin Lawrence has an amazing array of gilets, or vests, as they say in America.
Okay.
And yes, and even T. Leone's 90s getup as well. So there's, lots.
Is she a goth?
There's lots of shoulder pads. There's lots of big, oversized blazers. There's an amazing...
Some great double-breasted suits.
Double-breasted suits. There's an amazing 90s club scene, the type of club you only see in films.
Yeah,
that are
club hell. Everyone's wearing bondage, because that happens.
Bondage, beautiful women, lots of sort of
George's mouthing oral sex to me.
I wasn't doing that. I was just going over my mic. It's fine. But yeah, there's other things that have dated it a little bit. There's a bit of homophobia. There's some
just a little bit.
A little bit of homophobia.
A little bit of misogyny.
A lot of misogyny.
A little bit of stereotyping.
And yeah, some good casual racism with the freeze mother bitches. So yeah.
I blow you.
I blow you. I blow you too. So yes, there are things that haven't dated as well. But you know, the things it does get right, as I say, we've talked about, you know, this put Michael Bay on the map because, you know, he shows how he can direct an action scene, and especially on a very tight budget.
About that, yeah, I mean, all I like to say, because obviously I'm sure you'll cover it when we get to talk about the second film, the reason for the hiatus was due to his success, but looking back, he carved himself such a niche making this film. He went back and made the second, but we didn't get... I don't know, it just worked really well. I mean, he got obviously... We're going to talk about all the films that he's got and that he's done and what was good and what was bad about them. But
that's it. You know, love him or hate him,
he did a great job with this.
He did a great job with this, and the man has a style. He is, you know, it's instantly
everything is awesome.
Everything, yeah, everything is awesome, and it is instantly identifiable as a Michael Bay film. As we've talked about, you know, he makes Miami look amazing, and I think
he makes Speed look like a Michael Bay film.
Yeah, exactly.
Or was that Jean de Bond?
That was Jean de Bond. Yeah, Jean de Bond. But no, I think something you and I were talking about earlier is that, again, it sort of ties into that small town England escapism. I don't think I'd really seen
Miami.
Well, that's another influence we've completely missed. Miami Vice. Obviously, that's a huge influence on this. Yeah. The original. I don't really remember the TV show. I think you have a better memory of it.
Yeah, so it's Miami Vice. Take 48 hours, sprinkle in some Lethal Weapon, and cover in Tango and Cash.
Just mainly Tango. Things it doesn't get so well is there's some very clunky exposition. We've talked about there's plot holes all over the place.
It's going to explode.
It's going to explode. Why? For reasons.
Yeah. It looks cool.
Because it looks cool. It doesn't make any sense. And my favourite bit is the bit where, it's getting into sort of third act territory, but Checky Cario and his goons turn up at Will Smith's place to kill the witness, and they've got the chance to kill her.
That's hilarious.
But what do? They kidnap her.
No, but
but they come to kill her, but yet they kidnap her, and then he calls the police and he's like, I'm only going to let her go once I've done this drug deal at the airport. So he tells them where he is, or I think they track his phone, but it's just like, you just kidnapped her to keep the plot going.
for plot reasons. No, because I think that's the plot hole that sticks out. It's like, why didn't you just shoot her and run away? The other thing that's ridiculous is, I think it's probably the slow-mo. But like when you watch that scene now, it's like everyone's in the lobby because there's Marcus turns up with his wife and he's there chasing Tia Leone's character, I forget her name just now.
Julie.
He's chasing her, and then they arrive. Then the bad guys, I think the bad guys have got their guns out, pointing at them, and then in slow-mo, they all turn, Will Smith and Marcus, they turn around pulling out their guns.
Yep.
And in that time, the bad guys still haven't shot them.
Yep.
Yeah, it really looks weird.
And more slow-mo, you've got apparently the shot that Will Smith claims that made him a star, where he's running down the street,
with a
shirt open.
Yeah.
In slow-mo, panting. Yeah, he said, like, because originally Michael Bay was like, I think you should do it topless. He's like, no. I'll do it with a shirt on.
Yeah.
But open. Let's meet halfway.
And also reminiscent of Lethal Weapon. Running down the street with his shirt open.
Yes, very good point.
Thanks, I like to add some trivia, Charlie trivia every now and again.
I've got in my notes, is it too much to ask someone to kill Martin Lawrence? I don't know if I mean that in life or in the film.
Well, I'm just trying to work out at what point this was. Were you thinking there was not enough room in that Porsche? It was like, why doesn't someone just shoot Martin Lawrence and then Julie and Will can drive off into the sunset?
Maybe. I think it's, maybe it's just
That's cruel, George.
I know. Maybe I just found the shtick. Maybe it is that whole sort of the back and forth he has with the other annoying characters at the lobby guys at Chet. The lobby guy.
Yeah. The Harry brothers.
Yeah, I just, I think that just did my head in a little bit. Another sort of thing that's reminiscent of The Rock, you've got a annoying Weasley henchman.
Yeah, the guys you want to see die. The guy who we used to joke around and say, it's Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise wearing a moustache.
Yeah, and I
think I told you, I said, it's definitely Tom Cruise.
He comes out with that brilliant line when Checky Cario goes, don't you like it when a woman makes an effort? And he goes, yeah, I hate it when a bitch lets herself slide.
Yeah, he's the guy, like, when's he going to die?
And he's the guy that gets, again, like The Rock, the proper sort of triumphant death. He's the one that gets blown through the airplane, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the, you forgot your boarding pass.
Was that lifted from Passenger 57?
No, I think, obviously the one...
Which one came out beforehand?
I think Passenger 57's before this.
I'm pretty sure it is, because I think that's his last pun of the film.
Oh, okay. No, well, there's obviously the line I only remember from Passenger 57 is, "You're a betting man, or it's bet on black."
I can't wait till we do that. That's another one for the list. Wesley. What you trying to? It's called Liz Hurley and Wesley.
It's true, but have you seen it recently?
No, why?
It's dated. It's not as good as you remember.
No, it's just because you loved him kicking ass. But yeah, it was probably a very low budget.
There's better Wesley films out there.
So we are getting towards the end of the first film.
I mean, I think you're keen to do. You were like, oh yeah, all these films. There was Terminal Velocity and Drop Zone and other.
Charlie had a thing for skydiving
and other skydiving heist movies. Maybe we could do that as a double.
Is there anything else you want to say about Bad Boys? I mean, that's the film.
I mean, I think it's safe to say this film made Michael Bay one of the biggest directors in Hollywood, and made Will Smith a star.
Absolutely.
And kept Martin Lawrence in work.
You're so cruel.
Well, no, he's done it. He did Big Mama's House, Blue Streak.
Well, let's talk about that. So after this film, let's explain this hiatus. So we had
I think
8 years where both of these two careers. Two of these three careers.
I mean, Martin Lawrence was busy. I'm sure he would have moved stuff around if they could have done it earlier. But yeah, so if you look at Will Smith's career, so he did this, and then a year later, Independence Day,
Men in Black,
Enemy of the State, another Bruckheimer production, great film.
Yeah, one of his last, isn't it?
Very much ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Lots of mini discs in that film. And then he would go and do more serious stuff, Ali. So yeah, and the same with Michael Bay. So he did obviously this, The Rock, Armageddon, and Pearl Harbor sucked.
Why didn't you just train a bunch of astronauts to drill?
Shut up, Ben. So yeah, they were both very busy, and yes, I say Martin Lawrence. He was keeping himself busy with some sort of smaller budget comedies where he's a fast talking guy.
Where there's just more glorious Martin Lawrence. But unfortunately, I think Martin Lawrence struggles not to have Will Smith to look down at him. I think it kind of it's a lot to say. What was the original title of this film? Something Hearts.
Bulletproof Hearts.
I mean, that is a running theme throughout both films, and I'm sure they'll revisit again. Is the bond?
I love you, man.
I love you, man. I mean, almost cousins, man. But it's handled well. I think you have to, especially in this film. It's
I think it's something they play up more in the sequel. Is we've been together for from high school.
Well, let's get to
let's get into.
Luckily, unfortunately, we're getting rid of the mini discs. I'm afraid we're switching to DVDs.
We're getting it through LimeWire.
It's just going to on a dial-up. It's going to take forever.
So 2003's Bad Boys 2.
Martin Lawrence is back. George is happy about that. Will Smith is back. Shecky Cairo wasn't available, but they did manage to find another villain just as villainy.
Well, let's start with the comparison. I think from very much the opening credits, it's clear this film has a much bigger budget. Do you want to guess? So Bad Boys 1, 19 million.
Oh no, we're talking 100, I would say, for this.
130.
It's so clear all the way through, like everything's higher level. Like, yes, I mean, Mike Lowry's Porsche's been upgraded to a Ferrari, one of my favorite Ferraris.
Though again, Michael Bay's own.
Oh right, so shows how he's getting the money in.
And used in all the stunt scenes.
Yeah.
So that whole bit, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but yeah, that's Michael Bay's own car.
But that's what I think it's one of my favorite. I think it's the 368. It's one of the 360s. It's a beautiful.
It's 550 Maranello.
Not even close.
Not even close.
It's pretty good that I'll never be able to afford one. So. I want that one. I want the 368. This isn't the one out of Bad Boys.
So yeah, I mean, as you say, like. The opening is like something out of Call of Duty. It's like a live action Call of Duty. You've got Henry Rollins. You've got everyone in the wet weather, the night vision goggles.
Yeah, big budget,
massive. Basically everything. Helicopters, boats, everything.
So many helicopters.
I know it's tracking. It's like a tracking shot of it's across countries because it's tracking ecstasy, also known as the really X.
Yeah.
He's dealing in X.
I think that's what they call it in the US.
Bloody Americans. Just call it ecstasy. Call it what it is. So, yeah, this is very much a case of sequelitis. It is let's go bigger, better, and longer. I think to this date, Bad Boys 1 is Michael Bay's shortest film. I think it just shy of 2 hours. Every other Michael Bay film, I think, is on average is about 2.5 hours long.
I'm putting a lot of that down at slow-mo.
A lot of it's just baggy. I think every one of his films, since then, you could easily trim out a good half hour.
Yeah. So we've got the tension, we've got the stakes, we've got the police thing, and then we've got comedy.
But we've got lots of comedy. A lot of it doesn't work. Again, that might just be me. I think they do try and they like, what worked in the last film are bickering. Let's dial out. And there's some scenes where you could just like, let's just get rid of that scene. There's no need for it.
I think there's much more I think I really much enjoyed the ride of watching Bad Boys 2 when it came out, but I did feel like watching it again recently, I was like, that wasn't needed. Yes, that scene works. That scene of banter works. That improvised scene doesn't work. And in the end, I kind of walked away from it thinking the good bits are good, and there's so much that could be taken out.
But interestingly, you said, about sort of, we were in the age of DVD then. I don't have much as fond memories of this film or any memories of this film, because I think you and I at the time were just watching key scenes. We were watching we were like, skip to the car loader scene, skip to the action scene.
I can remember definitely doing that with this, and I think of the similar time was, I think Swordfish was around the same early noughties, and Lord of the Rings, it was like, let's watch this scene. And we were loving it.
The lobby scene from The Matrix. I mean, if you think about it, it was pre-YouTube, because that was it. It was like, I haven't got, can't be asked to watch a whole film. Let's just watch some cool bits.
Should we stick on a bits? Which bits? Yeah.
Oh yeah, skip to the car loading scene. And
still to this day, it's a brilliant.
It is. Yeah, that for me, this is the highlight of Bad Boys 2.
What should we talk about? Is because I always get mixed up, because I think I've got a headache from the camera rotating so much.
Basic premise is, it's all about the trafficking of ecstasy pills.
From those Asians,
but bought by Russians. So you've got the really hammy Peter Stormare. You know who I'm talking about. The guy that's always, he's in John Wick. He's the guy from Fargo. He's in everything.
Even turned up in Downton Abbey as a love interest for Maggie Smith.
No. That's the other Russian guy you think.
Oh, Dmitri.
Yeah,
you are not Dmitri.
No, it's not Dmitri from MI2. No, Peter Stormare is the guy from. He's in loads of stuff. He's in Minority Report. I put him out.
Oh yeah. No. He's I always get mixed up with Pagliano or something. There's another Anthony
Pagliano.
No, he's a great actor. Yeah,
but he's really hamming it up as this Russian mob boss. Mm-hmm. You've got other stereotype. I think Geordie Moller, the guy playing the Cuban. He's also a drug dealer in Blow with Johnny Depp.
Yep.
And Night and Day. I think he's the bad guy in that. He's a South American dictator or something. Or he's very stereotypical, the villain in this. But so Martin Lawrence's sister is undercover DEA agent, and then for some reason they throw in some, again, more racial stereotypes, some nasty Haitians into the mix.
Asian. I think they're cannon fodder, but it works. No, but I mean, I just want to talk about, because you've got this scene. I think it starts with this scene in a building, and I think, don't they escape and that becomes the car chase?
No, I think the scene you're talking about where the camera's spinning around two rooms is after the car chase.
Okay.
I think so.
I forget, but I am slightly dizzy at this point.
But yes, the whole premise of the car chase with, are we calling it a truck loader, car carrier? What are we calling it?
I don't know the technical term.
But yeah, it's along the freeway in Miami, and I was watching the behind the scenes on this, and they spent weeks on a runway, in a disused runway, practicing, like chucking off real cars just to see how they fell, and
copying it,
and they had. And I remember you saying to me, you can see it. They've put in CG cars. It's all real. They created this reinforced camera car that's basically like a roll cage covered in cameras, and they had the cars rolling over the top of this camera car.
Wow.
And it's phenomenal. And I think that's it. It's like how close the camera gets to these cars rolling over them. I mean, there might have been a little bit of CGI to clean out the edges, but there's one bit where a car like clips. It goes. They've tested it loads of times and it reacts differently, but they keep it in shot.
No, I think the point. What I think I was trying to make about is, because there's so much physical work, the only thing you can notice in that scene are the things that they've slightly touched up. And ironically, it makes it more impressive, because there's a few cuts of the Ferrari swerving. I think it's the boat bit.
It's the boat bit.
It's the bit with the boat, and I think it's because up until then you're in it, you're like, wow, and it's like, oh God, how cool would it be to watch that scene in 40x?
Amazing.
It would be crazy. I mean, this is the roller coaster ride of a film that Nuts magazine would have been talking about at the time.
Ironically enough, again, it's something that paved the way for Michael Bay's other films. You think about, obviously, Transformers, freeway, big,
Oh, my eyes.
Explosions.
My eyes hurt. Can I see some boobs, please? Or at least some cleavage, please, Michael.
The island, it's something that he has almost made his own. Again, it's his thing.
That is the thing in The Rock, isn't it? I think if you look back at The Rock now, because there's not too much rotating camera in the first Bad Boys film, but there is a lot of Alcatraz. Whoa, we're going round again.
Yeah.
Let's get another shot of that.
I mean, you could admit the car carrier scene does go on for a little bit. Car transport does go on for a bit too long, but that's Michael Bay. I think he just clearly doesn't know when to stop. And by this point, he's obviously, he's a confident man anyway. But after all those hits under his belt, he's gonna be like, "Well, I'm Michael Bay. I do what I want." And yeah, as you say, that whole headache-inducing thing where the camera's spinning around the room. You've got Haitians on one side and Will Smith and Martin Lawrence on the other, and the camera keeps spinning. It's like, okay, maybe do it once, twice. It's a cool trick, but
it's for the entire scene. Yeah. And to make matters worse, they're bickering.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's
a good scene. It's fun,
and it's something that's referenced and parodied in Hot Fuzz. He's like, he talks, we're going to watch Bad Boys 2, and they show that scene where the camera's panning around them.
How many times does it go around? I mean, it's more than 3 times. Like, if you did it once, because the first time it's like, did the audience get it?
Yeah.
Let's do it again, and then 3 would be the limit. But it's on and on. And anyway, we're not the first people to make fun of this.
So there's that really impressive car chase, but wait, there's more
explosions,
because there's another car chase, and it seems like there's all these big action scenes, and then there's no sort of conclusion, like, oh, the bad guys get away. It's like, after all this sort of tension and drama and stakes, oh no, they've got away, but don't worry, we'll go back and look for some more evidence. There's some sort of convoluted plot point about transporting the drugs in coffins, and the drug dealer owns a mortuary.
Well, you were telling me there's plot points in Bad Boys 1, but there is so much in this film that is, as I said before, is unnecessary. The stuff.
But wait, the DEA were in it all this time.
Yeah, it's the things that FP. I'm a Fed. I'm DEA. Yeah. It's like, okay, how many organizations can we get involved? But you're right, that whole thing does finish, because it's all about what we forget to mention in the car chases. You've got this car loader, that's what I'm going to call it,
car transport.
But they're actually chasing
Sid,
and it's the love interest for Will is actually Margaret's my sister. Yeah. It's Mark's sister, and she's in front. She's in, somehow miraculously escapes, and then at the end,
the thing that doesn't make sense is this car transporter with loads of cars on. Okay, admittedly, it's getting lighter because they're throwing all the cars off. Is keeping up with this?
It's outrunning a Ferrari,
and it's catching up with a DEA SUV. So it's completely implausible. But yeah, this other car chase that happens later that's less successful, and it's got bodies. It's just a bit bad taste. They're running over all these bodies and heads are popping off and stuff, and it's just
unnecessary.
And again, it just doesn't really go anywhere.
But we did say, I can remember when we were watching this film, is that we had also, what would happen? Could that a car loader be used well in a film? And Michael Bay had obviously thought the same thing, because in the 80s, we've all seen a car do a jump off a car loader with no cars in.
Yep.
At least in Live and Let Die, and then many other. But we haven't seen what happens if the cars start coming off.
Yeah.
And that's what Michael Bay did.
And then we've got the third act that goes on forever. So they go to storm the bad guy's mansion. Peter Stormare turns up.
This is in Cuba?
No, this is in America.
Wait,
there's more. They go to storm his mansion, and then he kidnaps Sid, and then they go to Cuba for reasons. It's like, why not just finish it at that mansion in the
I don't understand why it continues. I'm glad you brought this up, because there is, I like, to be honest with you, after all the rotations, and this, I don't know, this film is not as good as the first. I really enjoy going back to Bad Boys 1.
Yeah.
And very, very reminiscent, very, very nostalgic, brought back a lot of happy feelings. But this one was just like, oh my God, it's turned up to 11.
It's such a case of excess.
It's so much excess. But I mean, I enjoyed the car, but you have that And it is that thing, in modern day things, we've seen some great films recently that are full on action, like Alita, and it's like you are tired. After a big scene, you're tired. And there is so much in this film thrown in with so many different genre tropes. And then there's the rotating camera that when it comes to this showdown in the mansion, I'm like, oh, right, okay, it's the end. And there's like, what? Yeah. They got Sid. We're going to Cuba.
And then it just, it becomes so implausible. It's like, the official stance is we don't negotiate with, drug
hostage
dealers.
situations.
But then
you're allowed to go, though.
But you're allowed to go, and all these people are like, oh yeah, we've got your back, buddy. So who's paying for it? They fly over like this crack squad team with all these weapons.
George, it's completely explained because the squad, because Will Smith runs over from conference room A to conference room B in slow motion.
In slow-mo.
And then the guy with all the badasses, they're all in their body armor and they're all bulked up, and they're, I think, it looks like they're auditioning for Pain and Gain or something.
Yeah.
They all storm. It's like, we got you back. We take care of our own. It's like, what is it the guy says? It's ridiculous. It's like, you look like you're about to do something to get into trouble. I'm in. I'm sorry, it just reminds me so much of the recent Rick and Morty episode. You son of a bitch. I'm in. No, but it is sort of like these guys just, I've got a brother in Cuba, so don't worry about the flights. And I don't worry about passports either. Cuban authorities, so we don't.
Sort of like,
everything's sorted. Let's go.
We've got a safe house opposite the drug dealer's mansion, and we've got some guys digging a tunnel. I'm like, what's going on? Why are they digging a tunnel? And it's sort of like, and then they sort of
landmines.
They dig a tunnel, and then all of a sudden they just fire rocket launchers at the mansion. I'm like, okay, this is happening. And it's like, hang on, it's turned into Commando.
It is that. It's like, what's going on?
What's going on? And it's turned into like, it has the explosions, like things are exploding. And there's beautiful women by a pool. Things are exploding. I'm not entirely sure what's going on.
Like obviously everyone knows I play a lot of games, but it's like you're playing Uncharted, and there's the stealthy approach, and then there's the use the bazooka, blow everything up.
But everything.
My sister's in there. Use the bazooka.
Use the bazooka, and it's just like it's hilarious. I mean, apparently they filmed. It was a derelict house of a nearly completed and vacant mansion in Florida. So the owner basically
Mar-a-Lago.
The new owner advertised it in Variety for a movie company to blow up, basically saying, I've bought this house. I need it flattened. But so if you want to destroy a house for a film.
What a great idea.
Let's do it. And apparently by the end of filming, only the swimming pool was left. It was completely leveled.
Wow.
And it's like,
Michael Bay must have been so happy about that. Real physical explosion.
And then we drive a Humvee through it. Why? Because it looks cool. and then they drive through a shanty town. So they, again, in the special features on the DVD, they built this replica shanty town on the side of a cliff somewhere.
For a reason.
And just to drive through it. And it's just like, okay, yeah, it looks good, but is it really needed? So
Michael, this isn't a music video.
I think that's the third car chase in this film. And then, as you say, turns up at Guantanamo Bay in a minefield for reasons.
Yeah, because that's what happens. I love the, sorry, just to skip back for a second, because we've got to talk about the positive things in this film. The bit where they are, I think it's about halfway through the film with his daughter's dating this guy. What's he called?
Reggie.
That scene, I'm sorry, is when the comedy works. And I think a lot of it is Will Smith.
What you want, nigga?
I'm here to take his daughter out.
What's your name?
Reggie.
Well, no, I heard a motherfucker say your name, Reggie. You taking Megan out?
Yes, sir.
How old is you?
15.
Shit, nigga, you at least 30.
This is my...
You fight?
Yeah.
You can fight?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you motherfucker, you can't fight. Look at you.
Mike.
No, I want to know if the nigga... Somebody gonna take my niece out. I want to know if the nigga can fight. Somebody might come say something. The nigga can't fight. She can't go.
This is Megan's godfather, okay? He just got out the joint.
Why you putting all my business in the street? Why you putting
all him?
I just got out of jail and I ain't going back.
Can I shock you?
What?
I really enjoyed that scene as well.
It still stands up today.
I genuinely lolled. I laughed out loud when I was watching it.
And I would suggest that it was probably... I haven't got a chance to check. I haven't checked this, and I doubt you would know, but I reckon this was filmed early on, and they're like, "That's gold. Keep doing it."
Yeah.
I think all of the good jokes were probably done early on, and then they just got carried away.
No, but as you said, it's seeing Will Smith act up on it.
Yeah,
he's not playing the straight man.
When he starts putting the lazy eye, and he's waving his gun around,
and he's got the bottle of whiskey or something, or a bottle of brandy or something.
Yeah,
I thought that scene's brilliant. But yeah, there's other scenes like the whole bit where they're acting. That's the thing that is just like. In the first one, they're drugs, sort of, and they're
undercover,
and they're narcotics agents. In this one, they do everything. They plant the bugs. They they've got different disguises, and it's just like, what's going on?
The budget. We've got to know, what are we going to spend all this money on? Because I think that is a thing. So we're talking about 110, obviously, years have passed, but like, arguably, allowing for inflation, probably 2/3 more, if not at least half more money. And yeah, I think it's like, well, we'll just do the same thing, but we're going to go bigger. We're going to have more ammo, more cast, more explosions, more set, more locations. Okay, calm down.
One thing I noticed that's different in this, our good friend Mark Mancina, he's gone. He's left. He left over creative differences. They got rid of him on the soundtrack. But I noticed in the credits, and it makes sense as the film goes on, Dr. Dre and Sean Puffy Coombs are musical supervisors, and it's very much lots of Dr. Dre beats.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun.
I like the soundtrack in both films. I think it's cool. It's good R&B, and everyone loves the the gangster rap of that time was banging. Was banging. I'll just take my bandana off.
So yeah, I mean, I think
Martin Lawrence is wearing a bandana at the end, and it looks ridiculous. Sorry,
he's not wearing a gilet though. They're both wearing bandanas, but Will Smith can pull it off. But yeah, I think that if you compare the two, I say it is a typical case of sequelitis of let's do everything that worked in the first one, but do it for longer and bigger. Whereas the first one showed what a great, talented, action director, visual director Michael Bay is. This one typifies everything wrong with Michael Bay films. They're bloated, they're baggy, they're excessive.
It is definitely a hive mind that we share, because I was going to say the exact same thing. I was going to say the first film shows you everything amazing about Michael Bay early on in his career, and this kind of shines a light on, yes, there's still a lot of that, but there's a lot of excess. There's a lot of what can be too Michael Bay.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think like he just needs somebody over his shoulder saying, just rein in a bit, just pull it back. But I mean, he does have there are, and I think it's safe to say, you look at all of his films and there are amazing sequences in the Transformers films.
Well, I mean, I was going to bring it up anyway, but yeah, we both agree, and that was such, obviously, I played with Transformers as a child. I was of the age. It was the 80s, and that was so much wish fulfillment. The scenes in that film, there's the showdown at the end, but I think the scene in the military base with the helicopter is one of my favorites, and I can remember seeing a trailer for that. And we were still we go to the cinema with our parents still when we can. And I think Mum turned to me and said, "Well, you're going to love that." And it was just obviously all the Charlie making explosion noises. But that was a brilliant film, Transformers. And obviously there was some of the misogyny and the stuff with the use of Megan Fox, and you could point fingers at it. But it was a great action film.
The first one's a solid film.
And then all the rest of them, just like fell apart like wet bits of cake.
There we have it. I mean, I think we did talk about, say, in the Rock episode, saying it probably The Rock is his best film, maybe because of casting and script. It is that right balance, and obviously action visuals.
Do you think the Ferrari in The Rock was Michael Bay's?
Good question. Maybe he was going.
Let us know, fat fans, because he's going from a Porsche, then he got a Ferrari, didn't like the yellow. The yellow one got destroyed in The Rock. That's what I'd like to think.
Well, apparently, so his the Ferrari didn't get damaged in any of that freeway stunt sequences, but the only damage it got was when, and it's on the DVD, there's an outtake where Martin Lawrence gets out the car and hits it off a bollard by accident. And they, funnily enough,
Martin Lawrence is always in character.
They've included that as a joke in the Bad Boys for Life trailer. That's how it opens, with the camera swooping around and Martin Lawrence dings the car.
Okay,
so it's obviously
it's a nod. It's a nod. Hey,
but bizarrely, Bad Boys for Life is not directed by Michael Bay. Maybe
that's weird.
Maybe he's too busy. Maybe he feels like it. But Bad Boys, I mean, this is going to be so effectively 17 years between. So 8 years between Bad Boys 1 and Bad Boys 2, and 17 years since Bad Boys 2 and Bad Boys for Life.
It's a long time. And somebody's been getting larger.
And it's not Will Smith. Yes.
There are some things that CGI just can't hide.
Apologies, it does feel like we're taking a lot of pot shots at Martin Lawrence, but yeah, he's kind of easy target.
I think your friend Lath's going to have a lot to say with you.
He was a huge Martin Lawrence fan. So yeah, there's obviously Will Smith as his career. You know,
he's a star.
No, but it's been up and down. You know, he
has come back recently.
He's had a few flops.
Yeah,
but yes, he's obviously back. He was in Aladdin and did a good job as the genie in Aladdin.
He's been creeping back in because he did that film. What was it called, with Margot Robbie?
Focus.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
I think he did try to do a few serious films. He did a film called Concussion, which is about concussion after American football.
Yeah, he kind of flip-flops between doing
I Want to Be Taken Seriously.
I'm still chasing that ruddy Oscar.
Yeah,
because obviously he was nominated for Ali, I think.
And there was a point in his career where he said publicly, I'm going to go back and focus on my music. And then he did it for a while and said, I'm going to go back and focus on my films. So
I miss the days of when he did a hit song for every film he did.
Wiki Wiki Wow Wow West.
Men in Black, Wiki Wiki Wow Wow West. Yeah. I think he was kind of sort of approaching that with Aladdin. I think he does a team up with DJ Khaled.
Okay, well, I do like the music in both of these films, and I think it was a question I had was, did he have anything? I'm pretty sure he had something to do. He will have had something to do. He's been involved in music since Fresh Prince.
Well, he did make a song about Miami.
How does it go?
I'm going to Miami.
I think we'll drop it in.
I say there's quite a gap between the films. Apparently, Joe Carnahan was attached to it. He's the guy that we've talked about him before. He did Narc. He did The A-Team. He's done Smoking Aces. So he's a good action director.
Those are all good films.
But he's, due to scheduling conflicts, he's gone on and moved on. So yeah, it's some new directors. I don't have them to hand, but we were looking at them before, and I haven't heard of these directors before. So they're obviously up and coming. Who knows? They could be the next Michael Bays.
Yeah, and if you've been hearing some noise in the corridor, it's because we've got somebody trying to get in. It's only Jeff and Celine, George.
Oh, hello.
Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
It's time for Coulda Woulda Shoulda. So Coulda Woulda Shoulda is where George mainly, informs us of the actors who were considered for the roles. Now, I'm guessing this film took a while to come to the screen, so I'm guessing there's probably one or two.
So yeah, we've already talked about the fact that Dana Carvey and John Lovitz were originally cast in the roles. However, close to the time, so bizarrely, I think Martin Lawrence was cast before Will Smith. But before Will Smith was cast, the role of Mike Lowry was destined for Arsenio Hall. And Arsenio Hall is Semi from Coming to America, his Eddie Murphy's mate from Coming to America. So he was obviously big in America. He had his own show. But yeah, Michael Bay saw Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and was like, I think Will Smith would be great for this. So, you know, a lot of it is down to Michael Bay. But apparently Martin Lawrence said in an interview recently that apparently Lawrence Fishburne turned down the role of Mike Lowry as well.
That would have been interesting. So he would have probably been Larry Fishburne back then. Will he have done The King of New York? No, that was 80s King of New York, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was 1990 or maybe late 80s. So what would have Lawrence Fishburne been doing then? It was around a sort of time of Fled.
Yeah.
Obviously,
such a great test. He probably would have gone, no. So he did turn it down.
Yeah,
I can understand why.
A very brief coulda, woulda, shoulda. For Bad Boys 2, I can't work out if this is actually real or not, but I read it on the internet. Apparently, for Bad Boys 2, in an earlier version of the script, there was a part for English singer and actor, local legend Jimmy Nail.
What?
I know, I've got what the fuck on my notes.
Oh, so with this the time of what Bad Boys 2? Crocodile shoes, what?
No, that was...
Could have been a bad guy.
That was 90s. Maybe.
Could definitely see Jimmy Nail as a bad guy.
Yes, definitely. So
some people would say he is a bad guy. I think that's just cruel.
I mean, I think in terms of coulda woulda, I think they should have.
Yeah. So does that bring us neatly to suspicious spin-offs?
Yes, completely. Have you got anything? Because I haven't, so I'm going to think on the fly.
I haven't really prepared for this, to be completely honest, either. But I think what would be fun is, what would you like to see in Bad Boys for Life?
It's
just an idea, because neither of us have.
Well, really I'm thinking I'd like to see more of Joey Pants.
Yeah, well, he's in it, I'm guessing.
He is in it.
He's still got hair. Maybe they're taking away his hair.
That was the other thing. The wig he has in Bad Boys 2 is terrible.
Yeah, it is. It keeps changing. It keeps changing. Our friends on James Bonding, his wig doll would be going nuts, because that four forehead? That it's all over the place.
It's a hairline. Yeah.
But yeah, it's hot, it's sweaty, and that hair be moving.
I think it's going to be an interesting one, because is it going to be moving into Lethal Weapon territory of, I think it is, that we're
more characters.
No, we're getting too old for this shit. Sort of, you know, especially Martin Lawrence.
I'm growing too much for this shit.
So yeah, I'm not entirely sure of the plot of Bad Boys 3. What else I'd like to see more of? Obviously, those two are the heart of it. You know, I've noticed that between Bad Boys 1 and Bad Boys 2, they have interchangeable rival detectives. It's completely different actors in the second one. It's sort of like, we'll just put in some more sort of Hispanic stereotypes in there. For me, it's the trio, really. It's Martin Lawrence, Will Smith, and Joey Pants,
and everything else can be phoned in. No, I think in terms of what I'd like to see in the new film is less rotating camera.
Yep.
But it's not Michael Bay, so that's probably gonna be a good thing. I'd like to see a bit more detective work, rather than just being told to go and find someone and then getting shot at and having a car chase. I would like, because there's more of that in Lethal Weapon. There's even more. I noticed that when we were watching Die Hard, because it's Christmas, watching Die Hard, there's even detective work in Die Hard.
Yeah.
You know, he is actually doing his job for at least 10 seconds in the film.
He knows how to spot a fake ID.
Yeah, so it would be good to see a bit more detective-y stuff.
Yes, rather than them, I say, just causing chaos.
But we do want crash, crash, bang, bang explosions.
Oh yeah, I want to see it, and we'll probably go and see it in 4DX.
Exactly. Prepare for the ride. So that was Bad Boys 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think you know, I say we'll probably get some, you know, negative people. The people will probably put, you know, Bad Boys 2 on a pedestal, but you know, I say that there are things that we really like in it, but compared to Bad Boys 1, it is a bit of a bloated mess.
Well, you know, you got to swap positions. Sometimes I am very much that guy who's like, I'm sorry, but this sequel's better than the original, and this time I'm just doing what everyone else does and say, I'm sorry, but you can't be the original.
Yeah.
Next time we're going to be coming back with another film. Have we decided what it is yet, George?
Well, I think we were going to stay in 1995 and do pounding techno Mortal Kombat.
Oh my god.
Because we're finally getting a Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Yeah.
After demanding one for years.
I like the tie-in, and I do love a bit of Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat!
Calm down, techno. Release techno music. So yeah, I've been Charlie McGhee.
I've been George McGhee.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.